Hello, everybody. Welcome to our new episode on Inspired Alignment. My name is Tenchi,
My name is Keya.
and together we are
Inspired Alignment.
This is our podcast in which we talk about our co living and all the things that we learn about ourselves and how we grow and expand our beings while we live and have this experience in this house with the intention of bringing heaven to earth.
Yeah, all things what? Spiritual, motherhood, parenthood. I don't know what else.
Lots of things.
Lots of things.
Yeah,
It's
let's
hard
leave
to-
it open so we don't have to limit ourselves into what kind of topics do we have in here. It's all human related. That's what
We also do talk about aliens and things though, so yeah, human related. That's not even a guarantee we can make. Oh my goodness. We've been having quite the time because we are new podcasters. And so we have filmed many episodes and then trying to figure out our workflow of posting the episodes we filmed. And long story short, I have had a wonderful opportunity to look back and watch some of our initial episodes in the last 2-3 weeks, probably. And it was really interesting to see, number one, like where we started, which doesn't somehow feel long ago. But when you watch it, it's like, oh my gosh, that was a while ago. Like, that was a long time ago. And to hear some of the things that we talked about, and I think I was just kind of noticing that, and I think it was the last episode, I don't know. In one of our episodes, we were talking about openness and how this woman here is more naturally, verbally open than myself. And I think I stated a case like, I too am open. But when you watch lots of the episodes, I didn't see so much of me talking about me and my own things. I was sort of being a space holder for you for sure, and then like adding my own insights to what was happening in our lives, but somehow you were leading, which is fantastical. But some part of me coming into today, I was like, I got this one. And then she's like, you know what we're talking about? And I'm like, well, maybe. Like, I don't want to guarantee anything, but I think I know what we're talking about. She's like, do you want to share? I'm like, no, because I don't really know yet, but we're just going to go in there and figure it out. So somehow I think we're going to dive somehow into what goes on in this mind, some way, somehow, which to put you into true perspective, I told her that I knew what we were going to talk about. And then I was like, and by that I mean I have to go find out what we're going to talk about. What did you say? You said like, oh, what do you have in your mind? And I'm like, I don't have anything in my mind. I just remember at some point previously thinking we could talk about something and I have to go find it. She's like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, it doesn't dwell in my mind if I'm not currently actively in it, so I'm going to have to go locate it. And I made a joke about having to like go into the cellar of my mind and find it. But in reality, what I did was go to my journal because I write not as much as I would like to. I could spend like 3 hours every day writing words down and feel joy. But I still write probably more than most people do. So I literally went and like found my journal and was flipping through from the last probably 2 months. And I was like, oh yeah, see, look at all these revelations and things I have had and like stuff that I somehow have worked through, but have not at all really talked about. And so I was going to probably choose one of those things to somehow talk about. But then I was also reminded about my mother-in-law did a live recently on her Facebook talking about the process that she's on, and she actually gave us some really lovely feedback to some of the episodes of this that she currently watched. And it was so interesting somehow to hear her talk about how what we share doesn't totally land for her all the time, but she still used the phrase like, I am inspired by what you guys are doing. And I could see that in the video that she shared recently. Like she was talking about her own life in a way that I don't know I've ever heard her share before, especially somehow publicly, because it was a Facebook Live, which is like even more intimidating than a podcast, because we can watch this back and be like, never mind, that's not, no one is ever seeing that, because that's not good. That was embarrassing, that we cried too much, whatever. But she was live, and like, I was re-inspired by her sharing somehow her own journey and being willing. She is also a crier. I surround myself with all these criers. So like watching somebody be on a camera and just be like crying, I'm like, how? I don't know how to do that at all. I don't even cry alone typically. Like, yes, I shed tears every once in a while, but I don't know. I was just somehow inspired to maybe talk somehow about the vulnerability of sharing things, and maybe my process and why it's somehow very tricky for me to share things, because I don't think I know all the answers. But I did write a little bit about what I've been moving through in one aspect of this co-living, I suppose, more than anything, is I think since having kids, and perhaps before, but I don't know if I could find a tangible moment from before being a mom, feeling like too much, feeling like the way that somehow me and my 3 kids exist for so many people is like, the 4 of you are like too much, like too loud, too messy, too, I don't know, crazy, like just like physically crazy. Like, we're a very physical family, and I actually was going through old Instagram stories and I showed these guys. I'm like, look what you signed up for. Like, this is a video of Felix at 1 year old and Tucker at 5, jumping on the springs of the couch, like cushions off, having a dance party, nearly falling off. And like, we did that every day. And these two were kind of like, why? Why would you do that? Like, it's your 1 year old. That's not a thing. And I'm like, yeah, it's true. But for us, it's very much a thing. And not without consequence. Like, Tucker immediately was like, yeah, and I fell off the bed and cracked my head open and like should have got stitches, but did not. But I think that concept of like being too much makes it so that I have this somehow deep, I don't know if it is a belief, probably, I suppose, like it's a feeling, a program, yeah, possibly, that like people kind of twist it, when people say like, you think you're the only one that can do a certain thing. Mm-hmm. And so like for me, it's like, I feel like I'm the only one who can manage my kids. And anytime I leave them with anybody who has ever offered to watch my children for me, I come back and I feel like somehow they're like, oh my God, your 3 beings are so much. And like, I love them, or like the person watching them, like we love them. It was fantastical, but also holy shit, like we're going to go nap for 4 days because they're so loud. They're so crazy. They just like take all the space that they want and need. They bicker with each other. They whatever. And somehow through, I guess Tucker is nearly 12, so like nearly 12 years of people offering to watch my kids, I'm like, nobody can do this. Like, I've created beings that no one is somehow capable of handling, which logically I know is not true. But in my soul, that's how I feel. And I think that's how I feel about myself as well. Like, I am somehow not enough, but at the same time too much. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, in some ways, it's like not doing enough, not being enough, not enoughness. I think we've talked about that in previous episodes. But then by the same token, it's like the way that I want to live my life, which is like most of the time, like follow the good feelings. I think I texted that to my brother today, actually. He was messaging me about something and he's like, I'm just going with it. And I was like, hell yeah. I am a strong advocate of like, it feels good, you go with it. That's like a life motto if I have one. And I think I would like to teach that to my kids. But figuring out how to do that, in a way that still honors other people. Like, we've had that conversation many times. Like, how do we teach them to focus on themselves and what feels good for them without saying screw you to everybody around them and being like, I'm doing this because it feels good to me and it's what I want. It's like 10 conversations all at once. I don't know if you want to rein me in here.
Yeah, I don't know where to
Pick
start.
something.
I don't know where to start. It's like the not enough or the too much. I
I'm
can
unloading
relate
now.
in many different ways, and I for sure have different things to say about the many different topics that we have touched.
And I'm like, okay, hold on, I'm going to pause.
But maybe we can start from the beginning and just say like, I have the thought or the belief or the program that you are too much. And I have felt, and not felt, I've never felt that way, but I have been told that I was too much. And that was many years ago, and I think that's long behind my journey right now. But I do remember the feeling of being told you are too much. Literally, those words, you are too much for me. And at the time, I was like, you never know what does that really mean. Like, what do you mean too much? Because we measure by our own standards, but everybody has different standards. And that one, I remember the way that I had to process that is like, well, I think I did it for my self-esteem. It's like I might be too much for that specific person, because probably he does not know how to keep up with me, kind of thing. He does not know how to. It's gonna sound horrible, but I'm gonna be completely honest in here. He's not probably enough for me, and that's the way I had to. The mental note that I made to myself to move from the feeling, the guilty feeling, the yucky feeling of you are too much, like there is something wrong about me, and to make me move forward. It's like, well, yeah, too bad. I am too much. Yes, because I'm a great person. Yes, but I had to tell me that all the time to believe it, because in reality, what was underneath that carpet of you are too much was like, I am not good enough. As I said, it's been years since I was told you are too much for me. To this point, I was wondering actually if what is underneath that carpet is the same thing, that you are not enough, and if that is the dust under the carpet, that we just like to lift the carpet, just sweep it under the carpet and leave it as it is. If that is the case, then we can go to the second topic, which is not enoughness that we have been talking about.
Yeah, I don't know, because as you were talking about that, like, I don't feel like, obviously no one has ever directly told me like you are too much. It is me deciding to pull that message consistently from people around me. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's so often like me and my kids exist in this little bubble, and like when it's just us, we primarily spend a lot of time outside. Like, even when we lived in our house in Edmonton, we were outside so often. And I never feel too much outside, ever, because loud sounds just like dissipate into the air, and like being physical and like running and doing whatever, there's like space enough for that outside. But if we go to like friends' houses, or sometimes if I take my kids to the damn grocery store, or I don't know, like public events sometimes, like large holidays, like if you're doing a Halloween thing or any kind of event like that, when you have to take your kids to wherever, and like they just can't quote unquote behave like maybe they're supposed to because they're too loud, or they are too reckless, or they're too anything.
Because they are too much.
Yeah, because they are too much. But like I said, I don't think anyone necessarily ever says that to us, but you can read the room sometimes. Like, there are certain friends that in the past I would go to, and I could see them just like your kids are insane. And in my mind, I'm like, I have seen insane children and like unruly children in my perspective, and my kids are not that. They, in my perspective, they like understand where lines are. They just do things maybe like louder, and yes, they leave messes, and but it's not something that I'm uncomfortable with. I think that's the tricky part, is like I feel from so many places like you're too much, but every time I've sat with it, I'm like, I don't agree. And I don't know what to do with that, because it's kind of a consistent message from many external sources, which often would make me think like, okay, I'm not seeing something. But when I try to sit with it, I'm like, I think we're okay. And I like the way we are. But like, where do we go with that? Like, where does that leave us? We like the way we are, but like, we
Yeah.
can't go to public spaces or friends'
Well,
houses
but I
or
think
things.
here we're gonna go back into, I don't know, maybe 2, 3 episodes back, when we were talking about the boundaries and the structures, and like how society has taught us to not leave this space. This is your space, and you're allowed to move in this space, but beyond that space, you cannot.
Yeah.
And I think that is one of the things that I admire of you the most. Is like, that society expects you and your children to behave, but you simply is like, no. But I think it's because there is an inner knowing in you. It's an inner wisdom that you put into practice and you bring forward. You're just like, okay, this is me, and this is the way I'm gonna do it. It is an instinctual inner booty, I will call it. I think I've mentioned this inner booty before. It's like the inner knowing that in order for us as humanity to move forward, we have to do things differently. And those children with the energy that any human has, that is in it's inherently
Inherently.
for a human to be. It's not that they are too much, it's just we are capable of more, and we don't dare to be more because we have been constricted into a specific area when you were allowed to be, or a certain space in which you are allowed to be. So all the energy and all the loudness and all that aliveness that is part of the human person has been tamed by the way we are expected to behave in different places, in a house, in a school, in a work, so you are like daring to do things differently. And it's like, yeah, I am not too much. Maybe what my suggestion here to you will say, like, maybe let's delete the I am too much and honor that inner knowing that you have, and say, like, yeah, it may feel that way because sadly the world is not enough for what we are capable of being. But I am going to dare to continue honoring my being and my children's being, so we can change the status quo of things as they are. So other humans can see it, because I see it. Other humans can see it and say, oh, but if they can, that means that I can too. And that human potential can expand. It's like that ripple effect that we always talk. It's like one person starts daring to go beyond the reef, Moana's. And then everybody else, like, oh, but she's not dead. And she's having a lot of fun. And her kids are having a lot of fun. And I like that. I would like that. Not only for me, I would like that for my kids too. And then you have another Moana trespassing the reef. And knowing and learning that our capacities as humans are greater than the ones that we have been made believe. And I think that is a gift. That is a gift. I'm certainly like sure we have talked about that. Like for me, it's like holy, because I was so trained, wired, yeah, to just don't leave this space. Don't be. And now we are like, okay, I need to be. I have a deep need for being. So yeah, other people will not be able to keep up with that because they haven't even tapped to their own capacities. It's like if they say, I can't do this, this is too much. Yeah, it could be overwhelming, believe me. Yes, it could be overwhelming. But if I look at myself and the way I feel, and I find the reasons and I go into my rabbit hole and I start digging, it's like it is too much because I was told all the time, shh, be quiet, shh, keep it quiet, shh, keep it quiet. My mom was studying, my dad was working, like I was in school, I was in dance, and I was not allowed to be. So everything was tamed. No wonder I have those bursts of energy that come in as a rage, because it's like I've been that pushing that energy down and pushing it down, pushing it down. It's like, wow, the roar needs to come out. Like, just let me be. So I don't think your kids will ever feel that tame, I think, because they have been allowed to be who they are. However, there is another side, and we have talked about that too. And it's something that my mom has always brought to my awareness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like lovely that we are raising our kids in different ways. Lovely that we are daring to do things in a different way. However, we still continue being part of a world that is not completely ready for us. And we don't want our kids to feel the cast out because they are so different,
Free.
so free. No, it's not even free. Like the freedom, I want them to continue knowing that they are free to be. But to certain point, they are still a bridge. You know what I mean? It's like this is the image that is coming to my mind. It's like we are creating this island in the middle of the ocean that is our kids. It's going to be a safe space for others to land and to create a bigger land as they dare to trespass the reef. But they cannot grow isolated in that land. They still need the other side because they came actually to help the other side. So it's like, how do we raise them in a way that they can continue being that bridge, that they continue being, you know, in their own power, how they can continue lifting their beings from the ground down and up to let the others know that, hey, you can continue, you can also do this, but being seen without saying like, oh, that's too much, because there are other kids I will say like, this is too much. And at the end, when we are not here, what is the world that they are going to live in? They have to continue being the bridge. I think it has to be somehow like a blend, and that is a conversation on its own to explore, because it's a wondering that I also have, is like, how do we do this?
It's a great question.
How do we do this? Because I don't want to grow kids, to grow, not to raise children that are somehow rebels and don't give a fuck. I don't want that. Like, it feels empowering, but at the same time, it's like, no, because we're in this together. If I let them know that I don't give a fuck,
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm breaking the harmony and the flow of everything as it is. So how can I raise children that are different, that are more in their inner power, that are more empowered and self-empowered, that love themselves but also have compassion for the others,
Mm-hmm.
and not pity, compassion for others, and that also become motivating people to let the others know that they can also do it. That is I don't know.
Easy.
Easy peasy.
Done.
I think that is a twist in all this.
A twist?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Um, that is a twist from feeling too much or not good enough to actually, I don't know. I have that image of that mountain somehow going upward, where our kids are thriving But as they go up, the other ones come too, and they make the mountain bigger. And that mountain is just consciousness, is humanity in its own, is the world that we are going to leave for our children tomorrow. Because we're not going to be here, but who is going to be our children's co-workers? Who are going to be our children's friends? Who are going to be our children's community? So if we raise them in a certain way where they won't be able to feel related to the other side, then we are not being of service, and we are not doing a service neither to our children or to humanity. So how do we do both? I don't know.
It's interesting while you've been talking, I've been trying to think, like, do I feel like my kids feel like they're too much, or is it just me? You know what I mean? And I was kind of thinking about that while you talked, because yes, like all of what you just sort of addressed is like if they felt like they were too much, it's allowing them to realize that they're not too much and they're just like having the space to be and all that stuff. But somehow I feel like it's probably more me and something that, yeah, I need to somehow move through. Yeah, like I am the one feeling like they are too much, and therefore it's still my responsibility. My responsibility. Everything somehow my responsibility. It connected better to what you were saying when you were talking. but yeah, just like a different side of that feeling like too much. It's not so much them, and trying to figure out how to let them be what they are supposed to be. I think like that part I'm okay with. That part I'm somehow like, yeah, like I know what their their role is in expanding like unity consciousness, right? You don't want to follow your own personal joy and be too much at the expense of all others, so there is no unity consciousness. It's just yourself and you yourself. And somehow I'm okay with that for them. But it's a me issue of like, why do I hold on to that? It's like a security blanket of some kind. Like if we're too much, then it's okay. Nobody else can do anything for me anyways. It's my job to deal with my kids because I made them too much. And like somehow that's like a way for me to keep them. A way for me to, I don't know, not chance something going wrong and it being somebody else's fault. I don't know. It's like a personal responsibility thing. I'm not sure exactly what I'm reaching for here. I just feel like I live a life where, well, you guys know, everything is my responsibility. And like, I don't accept help super easily because I'll just do it. And I don't know. I'm not sure why I'm trying to relate those two things somehow right now, but it's like if I feel somehow that we're too much for everybody else, it gives me the right to continue my story of like, it's fine, I'll just do it. Like I've been doing it for 33 years, so like it's fine. We're too much for you, so like it's fine. And it's not anybody else putting that onto us necessarily. It's just me continuing my own, like it's fine. Clearly we're too much for you and you can't handle the awesomeness that we are, so like I'll just do it. And y'all can just carry on with your little life and I'll stay over here being safe somehow in the fact that like it's all on me and I can do it the way that I want to. And I can just happily burn out at some point, I suppose. Is that like the end result? You know what I mean? Like I'll just go following my joy until the ultimate joyful burnout that I will reach at some point.
It is actually, I think, this is my perspective, of course. It could be a way to validate a thought, an inner belief that you have in your being, that you are alone in this, that
Oh yeah.
you will have no help. So you have created a reality that has to validate that thought and that belief that you are alone. Because it doesn't matter how many people are here to let you know that you are not alone in this. You continue with that thought.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter how many people are around you, how much this community grows, you will feel like you are alone. And the way to bring reason to that belief is saying, oh, because we are too much.
Yeah.
Because we're all our kids can be too much in different ways. But we are in this together. So yeah, Nico's emotions and volcanoes, that can be too much too. But honey, I'm gonna go to work. You deal with him.
Peace.
Because somehow I don't have that inner belief that I am alone on this. I used to, not anymore, because I found you, and I am so sure of this, like this calling, this relationship, this community that we are creating. Like, I am not alone in this. Never. Like, so many times, like, there is something that my emotions cannot let me see what's going on and how to walk through the mist of my emotions. And I say like, yeah, what do I do with this? Stephanie, what do I do here? I am not alone in here. But you, the only way to support that belief and to validate the beliefs, like, oh no, it's just nobody will get it. I am all by myself in here, which is just a belief, because it's not. That's not the reality. That is not the reality.
Truth. Like, logically truth, but also somehow, like, I don't know how to tell myself that that is the reality. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's very deep-seated for whatever reason. And I know you and I have had, like, lots of conversations about possibly, like, not even past life things, but ancestral trauma. Is that the word you use for that?
Yeah.
Ancestral burdens, ancestral things that I am taking on, stories that maybe I'm trying to fulfill in my own self. Because, like, I've never been a human that is alone. Like, do you know what I mean? It's not like I have some trauma story about, like, I was abandoned as a child, or at some point some significant person really left me. I usually do the leaving, which is like another coping mechanism to keep myself safe. Like you will not dare to somehow tell me that you don't need me anymore. So, like, I'm gonna get out of here first because I don't need you anymore, because I got it. I'm alone. I'm good. But so I think I always am kind of curious as to where that stems from. Like, everything in my life, we do a lot of conversations and we're like, identify patterns or things like that, and she's like, it's like this, and I'm like, yeah, but I don't know why. I don't know why. I don't know where any of it comes from. I like understanding things, and I want to get to, like, a source, and I never can. So this is another one where it's like, yeah, you're right. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Like, I have a belief that I am alone, and I will always somehow be alone. And I don't mean like, oh, I'm going to be alone forever, but like, it somehow on a soul level, I'm like, no, it's the only human that I can fully rely on is me, myself, and I. Everybody else that I rely on somehow, some way, twists something and makes me feel like I should not have taken help or relied on them or done something like that. And so therefore it's easier to just be like, I got this, I am alone. It's way easier this way. And yeah, like the story
We
of,
can start digging down, because what is coming to me right now is that somehow, in order for us to not feel alone, we have to know and notice and be aware of the ways that other people are giving us whatever they can, whatever they want at the moment. But sometimes because it doesn't fulfill our expectations, because sometimes it doesn't fulfill our ways, because we are control freaks.
it's like a love language type thing almost.
Kind of
It's like a
is a
help
way.
language.
Yeah, it is a way. It's like, oh, because you don't make the rest. I want to have chicken soup just because we're making chicken soup today. I want to have chicken soup. but in your mind you have a concept of what chicken soup is and what it means. You can see the size of the carrot pieces and the texture of the potato and how many pieces of chicken it has, if it has celery or if it has,
Yeah.
you name it, cilantro or not. You have a concept in your own mind of what chicken soups should be like. And I come and I have another way and another concept and another image of the chicken soup that I have in my mind. And it's like, you want chicken soup? No worries. I have it. I'll make it for you. And I come and I make it my way. And when you have it served on the plate, this is not in cubes. This is mushy. This is little chicken or too much chicken.
Yeah.
This is not what I had in mind. So thank you. And next time
I'm gonna make
I
my
will
own.
offer, yes, I'm gonna make my own. And next time I'll come and say, like, don't worry, I'm gonna make your chicken soup. You'll say, like, no. And then you close the valve. You close the doors, like, I will not take any chicken soup from you because the chicken soup that you make doesn't match my expectations. So no, thank you. I make it myself. And in that way, we start putting walls around us because what we get from the world does not fulfill our expectations. So we isolate ourselves and make it the way we want to because we want to have the control. I want to know how the potatoes are going to be cut, how many pieces of chicken is going to have, how is going to be the texture of the carrot or whatever else.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So in that sense, how many times you have been served a dish that you didn't really like the way it was served and it didn't fulfill your expectations and you felt let down because somehow we have been taught and learned that in order for us to feel loved, we have to feel loved the way we want to be loved. But not because I don't love you with $100 bill doesn't mean that I don't love you when I have only $10 to love you. You know what I mean? So is that valve as open and being willing to give and being willing to receive? And that revolving door. I give and I receive, and I give and I receive, and I give and I receive. And when we open that door and say, like, thank you, honey, I know, yeah, this is not the best chicken soup, but I've tasted better. But I can see the love that you poured in there, and that makes me feel loved. Thank you. Just with that, all the walls start just dropping and falling. It's like, I am loved. I am loved. And I am not alone in this.
It's very interesting because my like knee-jerk reaction to that is like, no, like I'm not a control freak. I don't care about what's in my chicken soup, to follow your analogy. And like that's kind of the story that my mind was running most of your talk. It was like, I don't know, I don't think so. Like it's more, I was gonna say, I feel like help usually comes with strings attached. But I think that is like another somehow story. Like that's what I've told myself for a long time is like when people offer me help, then if I don't say thank you in the way they want me to or whatever, like they're always mad at me for not somehow accepting their help. But I think the reality is more somehow that like it's not the help that maybe I think I want or how exactly I want it or something, but that's not in my mind space. So I'm gonna have to take that away from this episode. Maybe you guys will take something away too, but I'm going to take that away myself. And I'm going to go journal about it and figure out how that may be very accurate in my own life.
But it's also because that your story,
Love
that
stories.
story, that play audio that you have in your subconscious is entangled with somebody else's audio that is going on stop. And is the fact that if you don't thank me the way I feel that you are grateful for, then you're not grateful.
Yeah, but I mean almost like I don't even know if that part is true. Like I think that's just what I tell myself is like whenever people offer me help, there's strings attached. I don't even really know if that's actually true and like if I've actually experienced that or if that's just the way I choose to take and interpret however maybe they act towards me after they've helped me and Do you know what I mean? Like I might be reading into something because of my story.
Yes, you're reading into the collective consciousness.
Yeah.
And as a collective consciousness, we have an audio running saying somehow, after everything I have done
Yeah.
for you.
Yeah.
And it can be not part of your reality. It could not be part of my reality, but it's in the collective consciousness. So we are tapping into it because we are part of that. So for us to feel separated from that is like, we can't, because we are one. So what we have to say is like, yeah, I understand collective consciousness. Thank you. Thank you. But you know what? I am not going to let you play that idea in my subconscious. I am going to reprogram my subconscious in a different way. And I will start thinking that, yes, you are giving me the best you can. And thank you. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you do for me. Thank you for all the love that I receive. Thank you. And it's not only to a person, it's to life in general. That's why gratitude is so important and plays a role and a big role, because what the collective consciousness is like playing in our minds is like, after everything that I've done for you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Say thank you many times a day, and that voice is going to diminish, diminish, diminish until we don't hear anymore, because there is so much gratitude that there's not going to be a voice in that collective consciousness saying
After
anything. It's like,
everything.
oh,
Yeah.
everybody is thinking here, like everybody is feeling grateful here, and yeah, that feels great, and it just vanishes.
It's funny that you touched on gratitude, because as you were talking, I'm like, yeah, that's what gratitude is. And obviously there's like a huge push for gratitude in the collective consciousness now. Like everybody's making gratitude lists. Like, what are you grateful for today? 3 things every day. Let's do it. And it is so powerful. And I feel like we can pretty much leave it there today. Although it reminded me that I intended to start this episode by expressing gratitude. 2, we've had so many messages. Like, I think it probably because we've actually been consistently posting, because we were struggling with that a little bit at the beginning. So now that we're actually like regularly putting stuff out of there, we're getting regular response, and it feels like so much in a beautiful way. So I wanted to start this episode by saying, like, to all of you who are commenting and messaging us and watching our videos and getting inspired. Like I mentioned my mother-in-law, but she's just one of multiple people that have reached out to either Tinchi or myself saying like, oh my gosh, like this resonated or that resonated or this made me think about this, or just sending us a lot of really good, I want to say feedback, but it's not even feedback. It's just opening conversations with us and with you guys.
It's actually letting us know about that revolving door, that everything that we are doing here is being received. And at the same time, we are open to receive that gratitude. And from that gratitude, it allows us or guide us or inspires us to continue giving and receiving and giving and receiving. And that is the flow of life.
Yeah.
That is the flow of life.
Yeah. So thank you for that. Please continue sending us whatever form of messages works for you, comments and things, so that we can continue having conversations with you, so that we can figure out which conversations we want to have in the future. And we will, I don't know, just, it feels good. It feels very good to know that people are watching, and it's inspiring people, which obviously is the intention of Inspired Alignment. And maybe it's helping you to find some semblance of alignment in your own self. And my own self. See, I shared today, and now I have to go home. Yeah, we can have a dance party. And I was going to say I have to go home. I am home. But I have to go to my room later and write and figure out what I learned today. Makes me think of VeggieTales. And so what we have learned. But anyways.
This is a blooper for sure. Yeah. Well, with this, we say thank you again. Thank you for watching. And if you have anything to comment, anything to say, if you want to share some part of your own journey with us, we would love to be able to add value to your journey and create that closer relationship through the cameras and through the videos, because the technology allows it now. So let's use it.
Heck yes.
Let's get closer. So until
next time.
episode, yeah. And I hope you enjoyed it.
Bye.